This month, I'm taking you to 3 different lakes, and I am breaking down where to start bass fishing in July. Man, I'm gonna tell you where I would start, some baits I would throw, what I'm looking for, and why. I'm giving you the spots, patterns, and the techniques I use when bass fishing a lake. This is where to start in the month of July. You know, a little catch up from what's been going on the channel. My hair is starting to grow out. I did trim the sides right here yesterday because they got so long because my knucklehead son was like, no, Dad, I'm not cleaning you up when he was cutting my hair. No, I don't need a lightning bolt.
Stop.
I do not need a lightning bolt.
Stand still.
There we go.
That's so good.
That was a fun video. If you hadn't seen it, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you go back to that last one. We had a fishing bet. The loser had to get their hair cut. I obviously got my hair cut. Live and learn. I will not get beat again. But it was a fun time with them. A little update on the national championship. They got pretty stubborn fishing deep, and with 400 boats on the lake, I mean, my hat's off to the people that won. They figured out a bite that they were able to run, just up shallow, and we just didn't fish shallow. I felt like to win, we needed to be deep. That's how you catch a lot of fish out there this time of year. But it was one shallow and one big time, like 3 fish limits of 15 pounds, like a crazy good amount. That's all on Grand Lake. But then a little update from the Potomac River. Man, I got pretty stubborn there. Like, I live and learn there too. That's one of those places I've never really done good. My next event's at Saginaw Bay. I'm really excited about it. Largemouth, smallmouth. I feel like largemouth will probably have to win that event, but they did open the boundaries up to where we can go way out there. It's 50, 60 miles of water long and 20 miles wide, and there is no excuses. Like, you can go as far as you possibly want to go and as big a ways as you want to go when we go up to Saginaw Bay. So really looking forward to that event. But let's get back to the business at hand. 3 lakes, where to start in August. And all 3 of these lakes you guys sent in. I appreciate it a bunch. Appreciate you guys following along on the channel. Pretty neat. We give back here at this channel. You know, we do the top 3 baits video. We give those baits away. Here we give a battery away. What else could you ask for a battery for your boat, your kayak, your car, whatever it may be? All you gotta do is leave a comment. We go through there randomly. We pick out a winner and we send you a battery certificate. So pretty cool deal to do. With that said, the 3 lakes, let's reveal them. We are going to do Table Rock Lake in July. Kind of interesting. Kind of excited to talk about that because I don't know, it's kind of a neat time of the year right now over there. It's just different than normal. We're getting a lot of water flow through there. The other 2 lakes, one of them is Lake Wasi in Indiana, and then Shelbyville in Illinois. You know, these are all requests from you guys that you guys have sent in to me. I just try to break them down. I try to give you 3 starting spots to go fish, out there on those bodies of water. Let's get started. Let's do I don't know, let's do Wasi first. I think it's a cool lake. So when you look at Wasi Lake here, it kind of looks like just a big, bold, natural lake. When I look at it over here on my sea map, really cool lake in the fact that it's got all kinds of man-made canals. It's got some super deep water, some super shallow water. Looks like a busy lake just in relation to where it's at. I feel like it's fairly, close to some pretty big metropolitan areas, there in northern Indiana. Man, a couple things really stand out to me. What that is, like right off the bat, and we talk about this a lot in the channel if you've been following along, is, pinch points. It's just like deer hunting or anything else. And the reason we like pinch points is it just narrows the playing field. And with wind and currents, pinch points are going to have more current. And if you can find current in July and in August, those are game changers for fish because they don't have to work as hard. They can just sit there, the stuff comes to them, they ambush it, they feed, and you've got a really good pinch point right here. I don't really know the name of this upper lake. It says something right there, Syracuse Lake to Wasi Lake. So you've got a canal that goes all the way through there. And what happens is, let's say you get a wind blowing one day, just blowing. It flushes water one direction, and what happens, it flushes it so much at some point it has to turn back around and go the other direction. So it's just flushing back and forth constantly when the wind's blowing. The wind doesn't even have to change directions for that water to be flushing back and forth. So, when you look at it over here on this aerial map, you can see that we have the entrance to the canal. I have got to think, I'm gonna try to find a photo here that doesn't have so much wind, you know, blowing on it right here. So you're gonna have water that's just pours through here. So you have, you know, boat docks in these outside bends, you have points, you know, you're gonna have a section of grass or water out here that fish are just going to congregate. There is going to be all kinds of spots through this one canal, in my opinion, that's gonna be good, just because you have constant flow going back through it. I really, really like it. To me, that's a place I would have to start on each end of it. You know, you could start over here on this end of it. Man, it's got a bridge. It's got all kinds of pinch points. To me, that's just really, really intriguing. This lily pad field, you're gonna have flow going back and forth. Of course, you're gonna have boat traffic going through there. Those fish don't mind that boat traffic. They've lived with it their whole life. So I really like that. To me, that's a spot I would start on any body of water because of the flow of water from the wind. I'm not talking about rainwater, I'm talking about wind generated water. So looking a little further, we have got a couple other really cool things. I like this Johnson Bay, and the reason I like it is I have all kinds of spawning habitat all the way around it, yet I have deep water and I have a narrow opening right here. Okay, and this is what I'm talking about, this area right here. So if you think, you try to break everything down into a smaller playing field. Yes, there's fish all over this lake, but if I take this one section of it, this Johnson Bay, I can break it down a lot quicker because it's a smaller playing field. And what I like about it is I've got this narrow opening here, constricts where fish are moving in and out, chasing bait fish, etc. I've got a deeper point right here. And there's not just a lot of deep points on the lake. When you look at the lake, it's got a fairly flat shoreline all the way around it. And there's not a lot of deep points. There's just not a lot of very vertical banks. And I feel like, you know, forward-facing sonar, there's going to be bait, there's going to be a lot of action happening right through this stretch in July that you could get out there, start looking around with your active target, find fish. I feel like you could. It's going to have a lot of fish that spawn in these pockets in this bay, you know, on this shoreline. I feel like these docks right here on each side of it could be really good. When we zoom in right here, this is that deeper point that I'm talking about. Great place to start. I really, really like it. You know, water coming around it. Great place to start. Really, really good. I've got this flat and this edge. I've got an isolated dock right there on a point. Guys, that dock does not get any better than that right there. Just isolated, the very tip of it's deep, the whole walkway's shallow when you look at it. Phenomenal spot. And then out here is where I'm talking about this pinch point, like, you know, this edge, you know, bait fish. I would get out there and I'd start looking around, you know, with my forward-facing sonar. I think I could find something really, really good out there. It's just a big bay. You've got all kinds of grass back here, lily pad fields, you know, an edge. You know, you could get a south wind blowing in there. I'd fish this edge. There's just a lot of stuff I could fish in a very small area in this Johnson Bay. It's got some depth to it. It's got some shallow water to it. It's got some edges, some isolated boat docks. I like it. Like, I just think it would go down there. And then one last spot. You know, I got to keep this quick. I could talk about this lake a lot because there's just so much stuff here. But one more really neat pinch point, and it's just a spot that you would pull up. You'd throw a shaky head up there, throw a little finesse jig. You're going to catch some fish underneath that bridge right there. Let me show it to you over here on CMAP. The reason, again, is the current flow that's going to go through there. It's going to flush back and forth. You guys have followed Major League Fishing and the Team Series and the Cup Series. You saw a lot of fish get caught on places just like that. And it's just because it is a natural pinch point. Wind-generated current's going to go back and forth through that thing. You can see it's actually cut a channel out through there, you know, just through the years. It's just a spot you could pull up, get a couple bites, get your day started. If you got your son, your daughter, have them throw up there. It's all about catching some fish in that first 5-10 minutes, getting everybody's hopes and everything, you know, everybody's morale up for the day, that spot right there. So there are 3 spots, 3 areas that I really like on this lake. Let's move on to Shelbyville Lake in Illinois. Shelbyville Lake, I've actually fished Shelbyville Lake before. We had a all-star event there, I don't know how many years ago. You guys go back and watch some videos on that. I did really well, believe it or not. And it was probably in July, if not July, maybe it's probably a little later in the year. I'll just tell you, like, I caught some 3 and 4 pound fish right here on this flat, on these isolated stumps. You can see right here, you got a stump, a stump, a stump, you know, on those isolated stumps. That was a really good area for me. You know, this is a low water photo. You know, when you put water over it, you can see they're way out offshore. Kind of a neat little spot. But, you know, I've talked about that before. That's you know, probably lots of people have figured that deal out. So where else would I go if I was going there this time of year? Or on any other body of water? That's one thing about this series I want you to take. You know, you can take this to wherever you're going. I don't think Illinois has gotten the rain that we've gotten further south. So, you know, like if I had a lot of current flow and stuff like that through the lake, it would change what I'm saying. I could be wrong. You guys watching this saying, man, we got a bunch of water up there. I don't think you have. I just drove through Illinois the other day coming back from Saginaw Bay, and it didn't seem like you guys had a lot of water going through the systems up there. When you zoom in, and when I think of July and August fishing, I want moving water. It's got better oxygen. It's just easier. It's an easier thing to break down. And we talk about breaking the playing field down by running up this creek, this river, whatever the name of it is. There's going to be a name up here somewhere. I'm constricting the playing field, and I've got a low water photo right here. Where would you start when you run way up something like this? Well, I always look for islands, and in particular right here on this little stretch, you know, you've got a couple different ways that water can go, and it gets narrow. To me, I just zoomed to a current photo, this point, this bank, this, around this island right here, in the month of July, in the month of August, I'm going to catch fish right there. That is just that's what I look for when I go up a body of water, like to find something different. You know, you look for real hard outside bends, and I look for something different in an island. Every island I've ever fished up a river, there's always some fish around it. And here's a couple reasons why I think. A fish is not necessarily going to spawn. They can spawn, but they'd rather get out of the current or be in secondary current. You know, if this stretch of river here in the spring is going to have lots of current. This stretch here, it does not have as much current. This stretch here does not have much current because that's actually a little backwater, but it gives those fish a place to spawn. So there's naturally going to be more fish right here in this stretch. Also, it gets narrower right here, so then it constricts the current for later in the year. It diverges the current in a lot of different areas. I think those are the reasons why spots like this shine when I'm fishing up a creek or a river like this. So there's lots of other spots up this river. I mean, but that's my spot I want to start. I'm going to idle all the way up there. If I don't get bit right there, then I'm probably not going to get bit up there, and I'm going to leave and go somewhere else. But I think I would get bit right there. And you can see it's a pretty good ways up this body of water. I'm going to go back to my low water photo back there just because I like it and it looks cool. And I can kind of see what's all around. You got another secondary creek that comes in right here. It looks like it's got water flow pretty much year round. I like that kind of stuff. You got a boat ramp right there, so you kayak anglers, you can put in right there and fish it. Got a railroad going across there. You got bridge pilings. Those are always going to be, you know, good. Another pinch point. I like going up these rivers, guys. I do. Let's find another spot here. So we showed the one down the lake. We've got another river arm right here. Another thing that I think about in July and in August, or in, you know, July, August, early morning topwater bites. So you got to think, thermocline's been set up. It starts to narrow where they fish. And as the summer goes on, I always felt like the most active fish, the most catchable fish, they get really shallow. And this point right here on Google Earth, you can see it. It's just a flat point that's going to have a lot of current, a lot of wind generated current that goes either way, no matter what the wind's blowing. And it's super flat. I don't know why, but those bass will run shad up on those flat points. In July, in August, you'll catch them on a buzzbait, you'll catch them on a choppo, you'll catch them on a walking bait like a jaywalker. I just love stuff like that, so I could hit that point real quick. This one's not quite as sharp. I mean, I can't make a narrowed down cast, but then I come down here to this island. Oh my goodness, I love this island and just how it sits up, the flat points on it. If I fill the lake up, it just, man, any bait that is being blown around out there, you know, shad following the plankton, they've got to go across this bar right here. Well, bass know that, and they're going to use that to ambush them things. So that deal right there, all the way across there, all around this, to me is just like, go out there, throw a topwater across it early in the morning, a buzzbait, and then as the day goes on, you know, you can Carolina rig, shaky head, football jig, you know, out off those flat points. That to me is a deal, like, I just like it a lot. So that is some places that I would start on Shelbyville. This point right here looks good to me. You know, it's a little bit sharper. It faces, you know, upstream. I would just run as much of that stuff that I possibly could right off the bat in the mornings. I'm trying to go down and see what it looks like when the water's low. Just kind of narrow it down a little bit. Oh yeah, you even got a old house foundation out on it. Look at that, old house foundation, another house foundation. The point looked really good prior to seeing that, so you've got 3 old man-made deals on that point. Start right there. I promise you that's gonna be good. So, all right, let's move on to the last lake, and that's Table Rock. Man, that's a lake I have fished quite a bit actually in July and August. We have a lot of nitro events, Bass Pro events over there. It's an awesome lake. I don't know what else to say about it. And it's a lake that a lot of people want to go visit. You know, you go there and you got Branson, you got the Granddaddy Bass Pro Store, you got the museum there. You know, if you guys have not been to that museum, it's been voted the #1 museum. Like, if I was to guess, I'd say like 6 out of the last 7 years. It's probably way more than that, but it's an awesome museum. It's 1.6 miles of walking, all kinds of fish in it, like big, like it's not like dead fish. It's like aquariums, like there's aquariums 3 stories tall, and there's live bears. There's just everything in it. Like, I cannot wait to take my grandson there. All right, back to Table Rock. Cool place to visit, Branson and Silver Dollar City and all that stuff. Okay, this breakdown of Table Rock is going to be a little bit more current to what's happening now. We've gotten a lot of rain, a lot of rain. Like, when I say a lot of rain, we've gotten a year's worth of rain by now. Like, it doesn't have to rain anymore the rest of the year. It probably won't. But we've gotten our whole year's total in half the year. We have water flowing through these lakes like crazy. Well, what that does is it makes fishing really, really good. Most of the time, Table Rock's really clear. You've got a thermocline that's set up. Those fish will be out 40, 50 feet. Like, you'll have all depths of fish. Well, with this water flow and the color of the water, it's compressed where those fish are. They're a lot shallower than normal. You know, when I say shallow, 16, 18, 20 feet, 22 feet, where before they might be out 25, 30, 35 feet. The willow trees will come into play. You can go over there and flip all day long and have a great, great time. So let's break down a few areas that I look for on a lake that's got flow going through it that normally let's say that doesn't. So, and let's break down Table Rock real quick, just like for somebody brand new. This is the lower end of the lake. This is the dam. This water down here generally stays clear year-round. This is a creek that runs down into Arkansas. You'll find good color. There's good largemouth fishing all the way down through there. It's good fishing. I feel like it's gotten a lot more pressure now that Branson's gotten so much bigger. You know, back in the day, we'd all run down there before Branson got so big and so many guides, but it's still really good fishing. This is Kimberlin City. This is a kind of where everything changes. You get up above it, the watercolor gets a little bit dirtier. Lots of fish get released in and around Kimberlin City. There's all kinds of fish in there. The smallmouth are really, they're from the dam. I'm going to say, oh, they're way up the lake. I mean, they're up to the, you know, Shell Knob Bridge or, you know, way up to James, you know. But the lower end of it, the lower third of it, I'm going to say is the best population of smallmouth. Smallmouth are really good there. Like, there's a lot of them there. Big catchable population. So back to what do we look for right now? If I was to go there with the water conditions the way it is, I would want to fish from Kimberlin City up. Again, I want to look for things that stick out a little bit different. You know, we talked about those islands like up that river. The same thing here on this. Like, this is the James River right here, and you've got this island right here. Well, what happens is that water is just flowing through that gap, and those fish are going to set up right there on this point of this island all all down this side. You know, there's a couple different things you can do. You could go flip bushes in and around this island. You could throw a big worm, Carolina rig, crankbait, you know, all across this lip, you know, in the right depths. I mean, to me, that is a number one stuff that you want to go fish this time of year with that kind of water conditions going through it. This island right here, the same thing. You know, that point that sticks across that saddle, deep diving crankbait, worm, Carolina rig, and then, you know, you could also flip these bushes, you know, just because it's a restriction point, current's hitting it. And then I also want to look for long run out points. You know, this point here is a good point, faces downstream. I would prefer one that faces upstream, but it's still going to be a good point. That one right there, phenomenal. You see how it sticks out a little bit further than everything else, and it's shallow. There is going to be a group of fish around that. There just will. It's a great lake, guys. You can catch so many fish. A couple other things that you need to think about this time of the year is bluff fin points, and that's another big long run out deal. So like you see, you got a big bluff right here. Those fish will congregate right out here this time of year. Same thing here. You've got a big bluff and it comes out right out here. This point will run way out here. So if I was to look at it on CMAP, so we're talking about this point right here. You can see it just runs out here, and you can see these contour lines are really tight. There's going to be standing timber. There's going to be brush balls. There's just always going to be a group of fish around that, and they're going to be a lot more congregated right now with that current. But once the current shuts off, they're just going to slide out a little bit deeper. They're going to slide around this thing, you know, move around. They're not going to be as many fish grouped up. And then the same thing with this one right over here. You can just see it's a real tight point, but then it's a flat, you know, and they can just, it's just really, really good. You know, you get bit on this bluff end. Well, you run right there, you get bit on that one. You run down here, and then bam, you find another one right there, or you find another one right here. It's just a pattern lake that you can run a pattern on. Really, really awesome. So that's the James River arm. You can run up the White River arm and do all the same things. You know, you get way up this arm where the Kings comes in, you're gonna have a lot of color. You've got points that stick straight out into the current. There's a great bluff end point, an inside one. I like this area right here a lot. You've got a big bluff end point. You're gonna have a lot of bushes that are in and around that island. When I go to flip bushes at Table Rock, I wanna flip bushes where it harbors a lot of fish. So what I say about that is I'm not necessarily going to go flip bushes in like this narrow pocket right here. I want to flip bushes on the main river, main creek arms, and in and around those inside points, because you got to think a lot of fish are able to spawn right there. It just has more fish. The bigger the spawning flat, the more fish you have. So like I am going to have more fish there than I would in a steep little pocket right there. I feel like, you know, I just don't feel like they stay back there in the summer. I don't feel like it has the opportunity to have as many fish on these main lake flats as you do back in those steep pockets. So you've got a lot you can do right there around that point. You can fish out deep on it, you can crank it, you can Carolina rig it, then you can come around here and you can flip those bushes, those willow trees around it, all down that bank. You know, they're in the direct current. It's a cool lake, guys. It's big lake. I love that lake. Really, really cool. So I hope those areas help you guys in your lake. You know, take these tips to whatever body you are, because you know these tips will work on any lake. It's just fishing a pattern and areas to look for in July, in August for you guys to fish. So I hope that helps a bunch. Let's get to the winner from last month, June. I went on here randomly and I picked a winner, and let's name him. Okay, the winner is Smart Mill Works. He said, "Hey Edwin, I'd like to thank you for all the informative content as well as the value you provide." Man, I appreciate the super kind comments, Smart Mill Works. All you need to do, send me an email through my website, and I will get you a certificate from the great folks over there at Optima Batteries. That's all you guys got to do. Just leave a comment. Be sure you're a subscriber. That helps the channel out a bunch, guys. Smash that like button for me if you watched it. If you watched this long, man, just smash that like button. It's all you can do to help the content, help the channel grow. So those are things that help me to continue to put out some good content for you guys. Man, I hope you guys enjoy it. Drink lots of water, put that sunscreen on, and catch some big old fish in July and August.